If you have a problem flying with emotional support animals on your airline, well, I've got some bad news for you. Hey everybody, I'm Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO. Well, if you've been paying attention to airline industry news, then no doubt you've probably heard about the rise in emotional support animals being on flights. Now, some of the emotional support animals are legit, and some people do need an emotional support animal or a therapy animal on a flight. We've also seen other cases where people have tried to carry, reptiles on board the flight as an emotional support animal. I think there was at one time like an ostrich or something that somebody tried to carry on board a flight. Well, it's gotten a little bit out of hand, so the airline industry has gone in to really try to put a curb on the amount of emotional support animals and the non-legit emotional support animals that are being brought on flights. Problem the Wall Street Journal has found out is that really the numbers of emotional support animals keep going up. Delta, American, and United, according to the Wall Street Journal, along with other carriers, tighten the requirements on emotional support animals, trying to curb the dramatic increase in dogs, cats, and other creatures flying uncaged with airline passengers. In some cases, 50-pound dogs share the same space in cramped coach seats with their owners and neighboring passengers. Delta says it's had 6 biting incidents in the past 60 days alone. The airline now carries about 700 emotional support animals and service dogs on flights each day, up from 450 a day back in 2016. The total number of animal incidents on airlines, from urination to barking to biting, has increased 84% since 2016. In June, a Delta flight attendant was badly scratched by a pit bull, and Delta banned that breed from riding in its cabin. Quote, "I think we've hit a tipping point," says Delta's Chief Operating Officer, Gil West. "We're very concerned about the safety of our customers and our crew." Last year, the number of pets carried by U.S. airlines, usually for a fee in the cabin or cargo area, increased 11% to 784,000, and the number of emotional support animals went up 56% in the one-year period to 751,000. So if you're trying to get rid of emotional support animals on flights, it's not happening anytime soon. Overall, I have no problem with emotional support animals if it's legit. The fact is, we have a lot of people who are just really, really attached to their dogs, and they're treating their dogs as though they're emotional support animals, and they're going through and really committing some type of fraud by saying that their dog is an emotional support animal. Does the government need to step in? It's a question that many are asking when it comes to flying with an emotional support dog, and the answer is probably yeah. The government should probably step in and have some type of ID, some type of real identification that airlines can cross-check and run through their system to show that, yes, you do legitimately have a reason to have an emotional support animal. Again, I've got no problem with it if there's a legitimate reason why you should be flying with an animal. But to have an animal with you just to, for the sake of having an animal with you is a little ridiculous, and we need to move past it. I understand loving your dog, loving your cat, loving your, ostrich or whatever else you want to bring on board a flight. But there are times and places when you should travel, and maybe at the end of the day, if you can't make it across the state or across the country without your dog, and you don't have a legitimate reason to fly with your dog, maybe you should jump in a car, rent a car, and take your dog with you, and spare everybody else from having your dog, urinate or bark or claw at or whatever on board an airline. Traveling on airlines is bad enough. It's annoying enough without having to sit next to a dog that can't control itself on board a flight. Again, if you've got a legitimate reason for an emotional support animal or for a therapy dog, I've got no problem with you. those who just can't stand being away from their pet for a second, well, maybe you just shouldn't travel. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show, weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO.